Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we are going to be talking about what is happening. What I mean is that I think white folks are beginning to see the truth. White folks are beginning to speak out for the minorities, and I must say this is not just happening in America. I'm seeing this happening in South Africa as well. Like a lot of white people living in almost every country in the world are beginning to see the truth, are beginning to speak against the elites on top there. For the US, I'm beginning to think this has got something to do with the election results. Like what is happening right now, it's because of the person who's in power right now, who's the leader right now. This has helped open the eyes of most of the white folks in the US. White folks are having these uncomfortable conversations, and this is what these clips are all about. I have collected a few clips for you guys from TikTok of white folks talking about what they're seeing. Then they couldn't even notice it. Let's watch these clips. I'm gonna give my own 2 cents at the end of this video. Please make sure you leave your own thoughts in the comment section down below. And please remember that on this channel we don't support bullying. We are just here for educational purposes only. Let's watch this clip.
So you're hearing that the hands-off April 5th protests yesterday were so peaceful and everything was great and there was like no violence, no escalation, and that it was also predominantly white people, predominantly white women. Here's the thing. Here's the really important point. It is not that the people who were in attendance yesterday, right, the predominantly white people, the predominantly white women are inherently more peaceful and law-abiding and they just know how to do it, right? That's not the reality, okay? It is because they were met with a different level of force, being none, like a lack thereof, as opposed to when movements are predominantly about and backed up by people of color, right? Queer people, especially black people, especially black women. They are met with a different level of force, not only by police, but by like random conservative militia groups that were showing up every single day at the BLM protests. Like, there is a stark difference, not in the way in which the protesters are protesting, but a stark difference in the way in which power and force and violence, especially state-sanctioned, is responding to the protests themselves. That has to be a very, very important distinction that we make, because this is not a failing of other movements. This is a failing of our police presence, of the militias, of the power and force and violent force therein. Ultimately, who gets to protest peacefully and who gets met with extreme and violent force is not due to the protesters themselves. It is far more a reflection of power and control rooted in racism. And it's horrific. And yesterday we saw the stark contrast between what it looks like to be a white body versus what it looks like to be a black body in places, in public spaces where you are allowed to protest and talk about your humanity and your rights. We saw a difference. And again, it's not because of the protesters, it's because of the force in which they were met.
People keep saying the hands-off protests were so peaceful. Like that's some kind of surprise. But if you're white like me, you need to think about what actually made that possible. White people, you really need to sit with this. The protests were peaceful because we were the ones in the streets. Black, brown, and indigenous folks stayed home, not because they don't care, but for 2 reasons. 1, it's not safe for them to show up. 2, it's not their problem to fix. We've all seen what happens when marginalized people show up in big numbers. Suddenly, it's tear gas, rubber bullets, arrest, and just straight up violence. So yeah, the protests were peaceful, but it wasn't because the system listened better. It's because whiteness made it safe for us to show up. And while we're naming things, let's be real. White people put 45 in office, not black voters, not brown voters, not indigenous voters, us. We built this system. We keep it running, and too many white folks are still clinging to it out of comfort, denial, or fear of giving up power. So if you're white and feeling proud that the protests were peaceful, cool. But ask yourself, what are you doing with that safety your skin gives you? Are you showing up when it matters most, or just when it's comfortable? Because this fight, this is our fight, not just in solidarity, but in accountability. 45 is a white problem. The system is a white problem, and it's on us to dismantle it. People keep saying,
did you know that yesterday's hands-off protests were peaceful, not because black people didn't show up, but because white people did? Hello, I'm Earl from CBU, Crackers Being Useful. And I want to get into this. I've been seeing some stuff about how peaceful the protests were yesterday, and people are correlating that with the fact that most black people stayed at home. If anything, this proves how aggressive the police are with black protesters. It has nothing to do with the protesters that didn't show up. It has everything to do with the protesters that did show up. It was peaceful because white people are treated differently by the police than black people. And another thing I want to add right here at the end is I'm seeing a lot of stuff from white folks talking about how we got to do something because they were raised white trash, they were raised poor, so on and so forth. I want you to stop for a second. If you've been telling yourself this, if you've been telling yourself that you know the black experience because you are white trash or raised poor, I need you to stop equating poverty with black people. Please. Y'all have a good day.
So a lot of people ask, like, what's next after today? Today was unquestionably successful. There are varying reports of up to 2 million people, but it's kind of hard to say. I can tell you in Las Vegas, there were literally 10 times more people at, honestly, both events that I've really ever seen in one particular protest at one. And the answer is protest energy is contagious. And so the answer to what's next is more. If we learned anything from countries that have resisted fascism successfully or have taken back democracy from fascism, we know that it is sort of a gradual increase in the energy of resistance. There are going to be lots of people who didn't go today, who saw you out there being successful, having a successful nonviolent protest, who are going to feel safer now doing that. And that means you have to encourage them and remind them of what our values are. The fact that today went so successfully and there were almost no instances, in fact, I've yet to hear of a serious incident at all, means that we are winning the argument and winning the debate. There was a massive attempt to cast doubt on today, and there were serious concerns that there would be instances or agent provocateurs, but you planned, you executed those plans, and it was enormously successful. So now we do it again.
I have a message out there for all you black people. I need you to stay away. No, seriously, on April 5th, do not go to DC. It is a trap. Let us handle it. We fucked up here. Black women especially, y'all came out and showed out for Kamala Harris. Black men, y'all need to come to Jesus meeting, but please still don't go to the Capitol on April 5th. Thank you.
All right. So there's the protests that are happening today. This message right here is for all of my black and brown brothers and sisters that want to go out and want to go out and protest too. Please don't. Stay home. You know, like if you want to go out there and give out water or bring food or something like that, fine. But please, let us handle this one. Let us, people of my complexion, let us handle this one. Okay, we got you. We got your back. Be with us in spirit. Pray. You know? Spread the message, spread the word, but don't be at the protests themselves. It's got to be us. It has to be us, and it can't be you. We love you. We want you guys to be safe. We want everybody to be safe. We do not want to give them any reason or any excuse. Okay? Let us do this. Okay? You know, we got this. Just, if you're going there, turn right around. That's all I'm saying. If you show up, say hello, but then pack it up and head home. Okay? Love you guys. We got this. Okay? We got this.
Dear Black people and the people of color, if my video has recently landed on your For You page, are you okay with white folks, including me, being part of your circle? I'm asking because this white boy who you're looking at right now doesn't discriminate and believes in uniting people and believes in fighting for each other instead of against each other. We're all meant to be united no matter what. That's all I'm asking.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Let me start by saying that if you had shown me these clips 10 years ago, videos of white Americans calling out systemic racism, criticizing their own political leaders, and actively advocating for the rights of marginalized communities, I wouldn't have believed you. Trust me, I would not have believed you. Not because it seemed impossible, but because for so long the dominant narrative in America has been silence, denial, or worse, complicity. And yet here we are. April 5th, a turning point, a protest triggered not only by injustice, but by years, decades of unresolved tension, systemic inequality, and unacknowledged pain. Unacknowledged pain. What we saw on that day wasn't just a protest, it was a symbolic shift in awareness, a shift that revealed something many of us have been waiting to see for generations. Palm color Americans came out in significant numbers, finally using their heritage to challenge the very system that empowered them. Let's be clear. This wasn't performative. This wasn't the usual sprinkling of social media posts, temporary black squares, or hashtags made popular for a week and forgotten the next. This was, how can I say it? If I was watching White Chicks, I would have said, oh, white party. This was white palm color citizens confronting white supremacy in its rawest, most politically charged form. They weren't just marching, I feel like people are really beginning to open their eyes and see the real truth. They were shouting loudly, okay, not loud enough anyway. What made April 5th different wasn't the protest itself, but the coming together, the racial balance, the messaging, the intention. For once, it wasn't the black community standing alone in the face of, in the face of the invisible police. I'm sure they were, if we had switched, let me just say, let's say a lot of black folks went out to protest. Okay, you get my point. Yeah, so political silence and social apathy. It was a collision led by voices that historically stayed quiet or chose neutrality. And that's why I believe this moment matters. Let's unpack that for a moment, okay? So historically, when black Americans have taken it to the streets to demand justice, whether it was during the civil rights movements, the Ferguson protest, or the more recent unaliving of let's just say George Floyd, right? The risks were staggering. The consequences, even so, arrest, police brutality, media demonization, and economic retaliation. And yet the movement endured because the truth always finds a way to break through. But ask yourself, what if black Americans had been alone this time? What if once again, if it was up to the black community most impacted, they would have been the ones, out in there, and the most vulnerable. We know what that looks like, okay? We've seen it all. Yeah, we've watched it. Yeah. We've seen activists labeled as thugs, rioters, or ungrateful citizens, and we've watched as their calls to basic humanity, dignity were turned into political issues. Now, imagine if April 5th had mirrored that pattern, if white America had stayed home and black Americans had filled the street once again to demand accountability. I don't even want to imagine it. would have been, right now as I'm speaking, would be on a GoFundMe right now, raising bail money for our brothers and sisters who were arrested simply for speaking out. We would be sharing clips of bullets, gas. I don't want to mention those things here, but thank God, majority of black people stayed home. Yeah. Thank God we saw something different. We saw white people, ordinary citizens, teachers, doctors, mothers, even former lawyers. Yeah, they took it to the streets. Yeah, well done. Okay, to the protesters, to the pump colors. You did a good job. And for those speaking out against this, well done. We saw them, for once they showed empathy. We saw them speak not for the black community only, but with it we saw them tell black Americans, stay home, we got this. Okay, and for those words, we got this, carried so much weight for most of the black Americans, because they meant for the first time in a long time that allyship was evolving. Yeah, that it wasn't just about standing beside us, it was about standing in front, using their voices, their visibility, and yes, their privilege to dismantle a system that was never built for black people. Yeah. And I want to emphasize something here. Allyship isn't about guilt. It's about shame. It's not about shame. It's about responsibility. It's about realizing that, wow, no one chooses the circumstance of their birth. Everyone chooses how they respond to the suffering of others. Everyone chooses whether to speak up or stay silent. Everyone chooses whether to lean in or look away. And this time we saw thousands lean in. To those who made the choice to show up, thank you so much. Okay, the black community is saying thank you. And to those who risked criticism from their families, friends, and communities to speak truth, thank you. To those who finally understood that silence is violence, thank you. I've got so much to say on this, but time is not on my side. And so now I turn this over to you. What did this moment mean to you, my fellow black Americans? Did you think, did you believe this is the start of a new era of allyship, or just a brief flash of conscious in a long history of avoidance? Let's talk about this in the comment section down below. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, please go ahead, support this channel. Let's grow together, and I'll see you in my next video. Please stay peaceful.